there's a thing called firmware. Firmware is that part that's hard to change. You don't just go in there and program firmware. It's really the way that the program of the computer mainframe is ran, right? Everything else is programmed on top of that. So for a human being, your program and your firmware would be developed, at the ages of 1 to 7. It would be your language is like your firmware, which is very hard to change. That's the subconscious.
Yeah.
So being able to have these firmware upgrades, right? And what I like to call the locking and the unlocking, which is scientific term, not actually a keys term, but I like it though for obvious reasons. But when we get new perceptions on life, when we learn new information that supersedes old perspective, our brain literally unlocks what we knew at first. So you got to imagine a neuron unsnapping itself, saying that, whoa, this is not right, and then entering new information and then snapping back. And now you're thinking different.
Think it differently.
So that is the process that, and there's a visual that I can even show y'all like this. This has actually been documented on what actually happens, which is it's a beautiful process when you understand the mind and the brain rather. So once you understand that, you say, wait a minute, this type of mental engineering is the key thing that I'm missing in my life, because we know about Shade Room, we know about Baller Alert, we got all of the opinions on Kanye West's shirt, right? We mad that Super Gremlin didn't win a BET award. You understand me? We care about all of the things besides the things that were actually upgraded. So now your brain is over-processed with information that has no relevancy besides dulling the mind, but it doesn't help you make $1. Doesn't increase power, doesn't increase ownership, doesn't increase skill set, and it has zero ROI, or actually it has negative ROI.
Yeah.
So,
if you think about how the world is designed literally for you, for that exact process to happen, right? Where your mind becomes dull over time. Because what are we told? You go to school from 5 years old to 18, 19 years old. Once you hit college, after that, it's just a process of work and entertainment, right? Repetitive work and entertainment, the two things that are going to continuously dull those senses and dull the neurons, dull everything that you're talking about, essentially keeping you in a state of just essentially patiently waiting until you die, right? As opposed to consistently elevating, you just consistently, decreasing until you find yourself in the dirt, right? And then and when you look back on your life, you find why you're unfulfilled, why you don't know what what's wrong with your life, why you're going through depressions, why you're going through all these things. People are they don't understand or know what their life purpose is, and every single person has a life purpose, right? B, because they stopped learning and stopped elevating when the human mind, the human body was designed to continuously elevate, right, and continuously challenge itself and find new challenges, right? And C, because at the end of the day, they fall into comforts, right? You fall into creature comforts that essentially just kind of ease you into sleep until you pass through this life. And that's not the type of life that, as a culture we can afford to live, if we really want to see ourselves rise throughout that process, right? We have to elevate, because it's not just for us, but for the next generation. Because what are your kids looking at, right? What are your nieces and nephews looking at? If they're not seeing the people around them consistently elevating, consistently challenging themselves, just imagine, bro, like I look at my son, right? My son is 10. And I look at how he processes the information now. When he watches everything he sees me working, he sees me studying, he sees me learning things, he sees me trying new things. And so when I go into his room or I walk by his room, sometimes he doesn't have any video games or playing games and stuff like that. What is he trying? He's either writing the story, because his thing is like on the creative side. He's creative. He's writing stories. He's writing, coming up with new ideas. He's coming and telling me about a new business idea he had. Why? Because he sees that's what I do. He's following in my footsteps, right? He's challenging himself consistently because he sees his father challenging himself consistently. If that influence wasn't in his life and the people around him were not doing such, all he would be doing was finding entertainment from one thing to the next and conditioning himself. So just imagine an entire generation of children in our culture who find excitement and entertainment in the challenges that they consistently overcome, right? That's how the Asian cultures are. That's why the only difference between Asian cultures and us, we think is they're so much smarter. They're not smarter by design. They just consistently challenge themselves to excellence. And that's a cultural shift. That's a cultural mindset that they've embedded into themselves generation after generation after generation. These kids, if you just really sit down and look at it, 80% of the time they're spending outside of school, they're not elevating, they're not studying, they're not challenging anything. Right now, kids at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old could be learning coding. They could be
That's
learning
a
Web3
fact.
skills. They could be learning engineering. They could be learning the foundations of these things that actually mean something in life, right? As opposed to just, what we got going on right now. And that is something that, again, like is that's when we talk about reprogramming the culture. That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? It's about
Absolutely.
creating that condition of excellence consistently. You know what I'm saying? Reaching
And,
higher
and,
levels.
and see, like with children, because I remember we did a class where we taught children, and it's something that I'm gonna do with BWO for free. Give you some of my methods of like how to become an author, right? And one another thing we taught children was, how to evaluate a stock. Now, some of the children got so good at it where it was a contest, right? We taught them the method of how to evaluate. Then they took that method and they went out there and it was a contest to see who would pick the stock that would perform the best by the time the program was over. And
Yeah.
we found some students perform phenomenally,
Mm-hmm.
not just well, but phenomenally, right? And, it proves that, these children, the only reason that they don't excel in certain things is because they're not exposed to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that they're not ready. It's not that they're not mature enough. No, you can't even grade your child based on your level of preparedness and maturity because their level of exposure is 1,000 times greater,
Mm-hmm.
right? So here we are today. You have to understand that even you may be taken granted for the things that you're ready for, right? Like I remember when, I was young and they'd tell me, yo, when you 30 years old, you gonna feel like this. You understand me? Or, you're not gonna be ready for certain things until you 40 or things of that nature.
Right, right. Putting in
But
limitations. Yeah.
put limitations and number one, I feel way better than anybody ever told me 30 would ever feel like. But two, I don't even believe in that idea of being ahead of your time.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to people be like, yo, you mature for your age. I just think that no, my age or whatever you consider it to be, I am right where I'm supposed to be based on my experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on my experience and what I've been blessed to and the circumstances that I went through, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I think that's more important than telling people, yo, you ahead for your age, because you got to remember there's no one set all standard. So even with children, right, you have to understand that this child brain development is different. This adult brain development is different. Their experiences is different. So I don't judge myself off nothing in society. I don't judge it off none of those things besides my own experiences. So
Yeah.
the question I have for everybody here, and y'all can press one, do you think you're ready for that next level? And what I mean by next level is that next level of experience in life, that next level
Mm-hmm.
of emotional intelligence, that next level of education, that next level of experience, that next level of exposure, right? That next level of execution. Are you ready for that next level? Because it exists and it is waiting for everybody today, right? But if you do not believe it, you will not achieve it. So belief is 90% of the battle because belief constitutes reality.
Mm-hmm.
So when I studied NFTs, I made 6 figures off NFTs easily. I've lost some money in it, but I was willing to risk, to
Mm-hmm.
learn, to develop, to have a whole new skill. And now I won't even be using the word anymore, but I will still be profiting off this new knowledge. Decentralized finance. If I want to go right now and figure out ways to increase the interest rates on my money, knowing that the bank's not going to give me that, knowing that I can't buy a bunch of government bonds to give me that return, that's access to an information. I can loan out cryptocurrency. I don't even have to look at it from an up and down standpoint otherwise, but I could trade it if I want to as well. But I can loan it out because I understand that there are more people, buying and spending than there are people selling. I mean, loaning. So it's a much smaller pocket.
Yeah.
But most people don't understand yield farms and decentralized finance on these dApps, these
Yeah.
decentralized apps.
Yeah.
So all this knowledge gives me another level of access to reality that's hidden for most people.
And the timing right now is so critical as well, right? Because if you look at the overall cycle, the market cycles that we have in this space in crypto and Web3, or crypto and other financial markets, the cycle right now, this is the time to really invest in the education, time to learn and be, trying to facilitate the education is not when everything is booming, right? If you think about NFTs do not just pop up out of random. NFTs have been around for 4 or 5 years now, since at least 2017, right? And beyond that, and the people who are already hip to them and understanding how they work and operate were the people who really benefited the most when everything really took off during the NFT boom. When different crypto projects came around and new blockchains came down the line, those second layer blockchains and things of that nature started to come around. The people who were already understanding how those blockchains work, the function of them, the capacity of them, right? Were way already ahead of the curve in position to change their lives if it wasn't already changed, or at least enrich their lives had they had the knowledge and information. So it's a matter of really putting yourself in position. These things won't move in cycles. Yes, the crypto market is technically down right now by standards of last year. However, that's the exact time. Same thing during the COVID shutdown, the time to have really understood how to get into commercial real estate, how to get into different types of deals, hotel deals and things of that nature, was not during the time in which the pandemic really hit. It was prior to that. So that way, once it happened, you're not in the learning curve. You're ready to actually take advantage of those opportunities when they present themselves. And so it's also a matter of timing and opportunity positioning as well when it comes to the crypto Web3 space. It's like, this is the time to be learning about AR, VR, AI, right? How to utilize different tools to just change your everyday life. You know what I mean? Like, and build in this space,
Man, listen, we're going into, I remember 2019. I came up with my predictions that we're going into the age of AI, the decade of AI. I got the tweets
Yeah.
and everything, and right now, most people are not paying attention to what's going on in this space and what these companies are fighting for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was 2020. I did New America, and New America was, my thesis and my breakdown on what I believe the future of America would be developed into. Right? It was the SADS versus the MADS. Right? It was stress, anxiety, depression, suicide, which increases right over the years. And then it was versus mobilization, automation, digitization, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we gave a breakdown on how the world was moving into a digitized world, mobilization, right? Automation and artificial intelligence, robots,
Oh,
machine
yeah.
learning, the
Yeah.
Internet of Things, all of these things. So,
Yeah.
but what I always wanted to do is be the one who sounds the alarm for our culture so that we
Mm.
are not waiting, but we are ahead.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, having sometimes a short-term thinking mechanisms in our head because of survival, we don't appreciate when somebody gives us foresight, right? Because we want things in front of our face. That's when we care. Foresight is allowing you the ability, right, to take advantage of shifts in the market so that you can be properly prepared for when the world turns. So you don't have to just be on the consumer or reactionary side, but you can be on the production and the proactive side, right?
Mm.
So even now with soulbound tokens, right? Even now with soulbound tokens, for those who don't know, is similar premise to digital assets that NFTs created, but soulbound tokens and said, when I send you something, you have it forever. So what is the world that you will be living in? What is the world your child will be living in? So we talk future skills. What are going to be the most valuable skill sets in the future? We gave it taught a whole list, and every single one of those things are seen to be the most valuable today. I told people a long time ago, the world changed formulas from hard work to smart work. to creative work. And creative work, the reason I seen this is because hard work was based on labor. Smart work was really based on mental capability, right? And then creative work is based on expression. So how you use the things we have. So with artificial intelligent tools, right? And y'all can go back to some of my old interviews a couple of years ago when I was teaching about, you know, uh, design engineering, right? In a sense to where you don't have to be a designer, you just have to be a creator, right? And by being a creator is basically saying that I don't need to be the one that designs things. I don't have to be the artist. I don't have to be the CAD designer. I don't have to be the coder. No, now you get to work side by side with artificial intelligent programs and use it in the most efficient and the most effective manner possible, right?
Yeah.
And there's ways right now where you can create $1 million infrastructures and businesses at the click of your fingers because now your whole entire team, right? I just want to position this before we move on to this point. Almost every job in your team, right, can now be replaced with a machine. It can be replaced with software. So in a day where you needed 1,000 artists, in a day where you needed, right, you got to hire spokespeople for, in a day where you needed all these people, they now have software as a service. So SaaS, right? So pay attention to software as a service. Software as a service is a booming industry because now people just gotta, it's like what Apple does with the updates on your phone. That's software as a service, the iOS updates. Yo, you got the same hardware, but your software continues to update. But now that you have the hardware, they can't sell you 1 million phones, but they can sell you 1 million updates.
Upgrades. Yep. Same
So
with Tesla.
so now it's like using Canva that allows you to create brochures, flyers, posters, all of these different things that normally you had to hire graphic design teams to do. You have it at the click of your fingers. So what does this do? This increase performance and productivity, right? Which it should increase growth, decrease spending, which should increase profit, which would allow you to expand. So the framework of what we're dealing with today in society is that a lot of people aren't shifting their mind to appreciate all of the tools that they've been given, right? There's a lot. And so what we're going to do is narrow those down, give you those lists, teach you those things. So you're not out here scrambling trying to create a business in a way that somebody in the year 2000 would have started, or 2015 or 2020 even. How does starting your entrepreneurial endeavors with all of the tools, with all of the skills, with all of the knowledge and know-how today look like? Not yesterday, always today. So I'm always knowing like, yo, I'm missing something, ain't I? I'm probably working harder than I need to because I haven't took the time to upgrade my programming to today's technology.
Yeah. Hey, look, even on a real life example, when you know, if people go back and watch the interview that we did with you back in January, right, the Cheat Code Unlocked episode, there was things in that episode that you taught us about things like the generative AI and things
Yeah.
of that nature, which we now have you know, started putting into practice and into
Yeah.
play. That has completely changed the shift for us. Like when I started, when I heard you say it, I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. It sounds like some futuristic shit,
Right.
which is what, like, I think a lot of people will hear this type of stuff and think this is futuristic shit. Like, no, this is right now. Like,
Yes.
people are utilizing these tools right now. You just haven't heard of it because you haven't been exposed to it.
And they
By the time,
making millions
and making
off
millions,
seconds of this shit is so beautiful
simple
shit. I'm
shit.
honest. I'm excited about it because I can't wait to see how everybody uses it, right? It's gonna be
Yeah,
real community based. We're gonna be
yeah,
working with each other, sharing skills, secrets, knowledge. But this is gonna be the most advanced program, the most
yeah,
advanced community with these tools. So,
yeah.
you know, I'm gonna just say off the list of things, and then we're gonna say how some of this approval process is going to work with some of you all being able to get in. So, you know, we talked about a lot of different things. Like you said, we're going to teach in reality, teaching blockchains, the block market. And the block market, for you all may have heard me say that, right, is basically the marketplace of the blockchain, right? So you have the stock market where all of these, you know, financial markets combine where you can buy, sell, trade, stocks, options, bonds, all of those different things. And then you have the block market, right? And the block market is those same sort of systems, but built on the blockchain, right? And same thing with NFTs, where people create digital assets with attachments to them. And there was a billion-dollar market surge, a multi-billion-dollar market surge last year. And of course, I told people before it ever got up there, right? And the reason that I'm able to be ahead of those things is because I'm always studying what's going on now. And what you don't realize is a lot of the things that you see now, there were always people forewarning years ahead. But the problem is that if you are somebody that's worrying about next week, then anybody telling you and giving you the game on how to be ahead of next year, you won't appreciate. So that's the thing. You devalue the people that put you up on game the most because you
Yeah.
feel like I can't afford to be ahead of the future because I'm not ahead of the past because you're still trying to catch up. Oh, that was a bar. I ain't gonna lie. That was a big old bar. I ain't gonna lie. Oh, you can't afford to be ahead of the future because you ain't ahead of the past.